Hello and welcome to yet another week. This is the second week into the month of October, and today is on a Monday, October 6th, 2025. Let's begin by looking at what we have fundamentally, and basically, fundamentally, we are looking at today being on a Monday. We are looking at the ECB President Lagarde will be speaking. Of course, today morning we have been able to witness the news of the PM Sebastian, the PM for France, who has resigned. So I believe also that will be part of what Lagarde will be talking about today. We have seen how the euros have also been affected because of that kind of the news about the resignation of the French PM. So at 8:30 p.m. also we'll be having Governor Bailey, that is the governor for the Bank of England, who also will be speaking. So the key sentiments for these kind of for the speeches for the central bank bosses, it's basically to set the tone of the market, whether dovish or whether hawkish. So on Tuesday, that is tomorrow, it will be a bank holiday for China. Today also it's a bank holiday for China as well. So on Wednesday, we'll be looking at official cash rate. That is, we'll be looking at the NZD, the Reserve Bank of New Zealand cutting their rates by 25 basis points. That is from 3.0 to 2.75%. Of course, we have been seeing inflation slightly lower, not really at par the expectations per se, but we have been seeing quite some stubbornness when it comes to the inflation. But nevertheless, we'll be looking or gearing in the market pricing themselves for 25 points basis points cut. So then on Friday, on the same Thursday, on that is on Wednesday, we'll be having also Governor Ueda, that is the governor for the Bank of Japan, who will also be speaking. Of course, we have also been able to witness volatility with the JPYs today morning. The pair is opening with a gap. Of course, being the political tensions, we have been able to see the new leader for the LDP party in Japan who has been elected. Of course, the market is reacting to such kind of sentiments. Sentiments. The reason why the Japanese pairs have opened up today with quite some gap. USD JPY, Euro JPY, all the Japanese pair, if you look at them, they have really opened with huge gaps this morning. So then we'll be having the FOMC meeting minutes. So these will be the minutes for the previous meeting that was held. Basically now written in more detailed way that we can be able to read and understand some of the key things that the Fed is looked at in terms of the decision they maintained in their last meeting. So sometimes they are not really that much volatile because they are just meeting of the previous meeting. So what happens is that it gives us the tone of the market, maybe probably creating some bearish or some dovish or some hawkish sentiments. But with this one, we saw the previous meeting, it was really quite hawkish, even though there was a 25 basis point cut. It was really quite hawkish, and I believe maybe probably the same tone might prevail during these FOMC meeting minutes. Then on Thursday, it's tentative for the unemployment claims for the USD, of course, because of the government shutdown. So we might have a delayed data, or maybe probably the data might be postponed. Like last Friday, we saw the NFP, which was postponed, and we have it scheduled for Friday, the 10th of October. Again, tentative because it will depend whether the government will have reopened or not. All right. So that's why we have it tentative. So if the government still continues on a shutdown, then we might have them being postponed again, maybe to the next Friday, until when the government is able to reopen, so that now we can be able to have these kind of data, right? So for more insights, you can look at the video I did about the US government shutdown, what's the impact, what it is, the impacts, etc., etc., so that you can be able to know some of the key things that will be affected, whether you're trading stocks, whether you're investing in stocks, or maybe probably forex, commodities. It will give you some greener light in terms of what to look at, what to anticipate at this particular time. At 5 p.m. on Friday, there will be the prelim consumer sentiments and the prelim inflation expectations. Of course, this one will be looking at it being released because it's not really affected, because this news comes from the source is the University of Michigan. All right, so of course we anticipate those kind of news to be released. Okay, so for those who trade the Canadian dollar, so on Friday we'll be having also the unemployment rate and the employment change for the Canadian dollar. So it's always good to be aware of that and be able to position yourself accordingly. All right, so that being said, let's look at now the DXY. So if you look at the DXY, today is a brand new week, so we can begin looking at it from the weekly time frame. So we had the price break above this neckline that we had here, that has been holding prices on the downside, and we can say also this level is a support level that has been holding a resistant level that has been holding prices. So as you can see, the price was able to open with a gap. So if you look at it from the daily time frame, the price really gapped up. So we might be able to see the price, or I'm looking at an instance where the price respect this level again, now being a key resistant level from the daily time frame. You can see the multiple rejections here, and we might be able to witness another rejection, which will push the prices on the downside. Of course, looking at it, maybe probably coming to refill or to fill the gaps that we have at that particular point, because the market again opening with gaps. So if you look at that is the 4-hour time frame. So we are still looking at those bullish sentiments. So this is the gap from the daily, from the 4-hour time frame. So the market creating a very huge gap there. So we might be able to see the market react from this level, push on the downside to fill the gaps. And if the bullishness will persist, then we'll be looking at the price continuing on the upside. And in case the price is going to break that level, this level here, then we'll be seeing the price come almost to the 100 level. Right, so these are for our order block that we have here. So that's what I'll be looking at. But also note, in case we see the price break below this, because now with this kind of structure, what we are seeing here, these are higher highs and higher lows. So meaning that this is the previous low, this is the previous high. So in case we see the price retrace on the downside and break below this low, then we will be continuing or looking at some bearish sentiments, the price coming again to around 96.599 zone. And this is the zone that we have marked at this particular point. So that is it. That's what we are looking at, potential bullishness for the DXY. But again, I believe the dollar index is not off the hook, as because we are still seeing the US government in a shutdown, so that might be able to affect the dollar index. But remember, again, we are looking at the dollar index having some mixed reaction even from this shutdown. I think I explained that from that the government shutdown video that I did, because people might perceive the dollar as a safe haven, and therefore meaning that the dollar might gain a strength. Also, people might look at the dollar being threatened because of the shutdown. That if they perceive it that way, it means that they might now run away from the dollar and look at the safe havens like gold, US treasuries, etc., etc. So it depends on how the consumer, how the investors' sentiments will be, and also depending on whether for how long will these shutdown run. So in case you are going to have a prolonged shutdown, then it might have some more negative impact even for the dollar index, right? So let's now look at gold. So gold has been pushing high, creating all-time highs. So if you look at it from the weekly time frame, we are still seeing a quite bullishness. So I think this is almost the 8th week. It should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, almost the 8th week. Week. The dollar index being a bullish, but remember this is the 8th week that we are in. So, but we are still anticipating some quite a bullish move. So if you look at it on the daily time frame, these are the levels that we are looking at from the daily time frame, where we have these engulfing, but we have been able to minimize, or we once we go to the lower time frame, you'll see why I've drawn the level here and not the daily engulfing. So if you look at it from the 4-hour time frame now, so it begins to make sense. Number one, what we can see here is a very nice trend line here that has been holding prices from going lower. So it has been really quite significant in terms of maintaining or supporting the bullion sentiments here for gold. So in case you see the price that retrace to these levels, these are the levels that we are going to look at in terms of buying opportunities, because I think these should be the rejection block from the 4-hour time frame. But if we look at it from the 1-hour time frame, two things that you can be able to tell. Number one, we have minimized that level to about this particular point, because this is where we have the order block from this particular level. Okay, so if also you look at this particular point, we had a BOS taking place here, or a change of character, but now these are being our order block. The price came to this level, so we had some very minimal reaction from this point, and now the price has been able to break above. So what are we looking at this particular point being a breaker block, and therefore we are anticipating, in case the price comes to these levels, then those are the levels that we'll be looking at in terms of buying opportunities. So the first levels to align yourself in terms of buying opportunities, you're talking about 38.95. Then in case the price is able to break that point and continues to push on the downside, then we'll be looking about 38.44 levels. But if you go to the 15 minutes time frame, then we are able to read a different story. So what we have seen here, this is a break of structure. All right, this is a break of structure. What you have seen in the 5 minutes, I mean the 15 minutes time frame. So that's where we have the break of structure, or what I call the BOS. So it means now that this particular point here, we are looking at this level being a potential level to look at some buying opportunities. Okay, that level here. All right, so let me now delete these, because or before even I delete that, this level was quite a good level in terms of looking at buying opportunities. The price came here at 2 a.m. That is London kill zone, and we saw the price rally. So that was a very nice setup. But now maybe probably if you didn't get that setup, you can look at it in terms of now the price has created a BOS. So we might anticipate the price to come to this level, and that is the level that we should be looking at in terms of buying opportunities. So if you go to the 5 minutes time frame, basically what you are going to do here is to minimize the risk, because you can see the 15 minutes level is quite huge. You're talking about 110 pips level, so that's quite huge. So we can use the 5 minutes time frame and be able to mark our level like that. Okay, so these are the levels that we'll be looking at for the price. In case the price retraces to this level, we are going to look at some potential buying opportunities. Also, don't forget the aspect of time. ICT does very well if traded within the correct time zone or the correct kill zone. So right now we're in the London kill zone, and it's about almost to end. We have about 26 minutes before the London kill zone ends. So once it's 12 midnight, 12 noon, right? So even if the price comes to this level, we are not that's not the best time. It makes this level being a less probability, right? So that's also something to factor out, because that's what the best way to trade the ICT strategy. So whether you're trading the fair value gaps, whether you're trading the order blocks, the rejection block, maybe probably the OTE, right? That is the Fibonacci optimal trade entry. So the key thing is to make sure anytime you are taking a trade with the ICT strategies, it should be within the kill zones, right? And I believe you know the kill zones. So if you don't remember the kill zones, I also have a video about the kill zones that you can check, so that you can be able to know when is the best time for you to take the trade. So with that, think that's quite elaborate. In case of anything, I'm going to keep you updated. So I wish you a blessed week ahead, a fruitful week full of pips, of course. And always be cautious in the financial markets. Right now, we have a lot of uncertainties. So remember to be disciplined, to be focused, and always to trade with purpose.